more, don't let me more. Mama, grandma, don't be mad, don't be mad, don't be mad, no more, no more, don't let me more about them, Salon de mong about them, Salon de mong about another one now, Gaina, another one now, Gaina. You are on a war, don't never know yet, don't never know yet, don't never know where I yet, they will have a yet, don't know Egana, long Egana, and I Egana, Lobo Gadenye. Do a logo, do a logo. Ana ele my way, Ana ele my way. Yakuna, logo miwa, and now we're alone anymore. Yalon them our day, Bobo, Yalon them our day, Bobo. Ana elo, Ana elo, Ana elo, Ewala, Ana ewa, Ewa, Ana ewa, Ana elo, Elawa, Yenawe, Lomomiwa, Punanawe, Lonemimae, Yadem Pangabade, Bobo, Ana Pedro, Ana Pedro, Ana Pedro, Ana Pedro, Ana Pedro. Ana Adopanye, Ana Adopanye, Ana Mo Adopanyo, Malo Nawasanyo, Malo Nawasanyo. Sandala, you have our logo, Sandala, you have our logo. Engana, Pale, Kamoba, Kabalu, Netubo. You are Ana Ewa, don't never know yet, don't never know yet, don't never know yet. Muadana, Ongana, Dawana, Dualenga, Bemwe, Walukuna Boke, Luderubo. Davalie de Yanela, Dega, no paper, get Lodebo, Dava Puedi, Mamalo, Gayele, Libateo, Gayele, Libawolomo, Dalenjarela, the young away, the monk pray, young at the bad, the government work, Gadale, Yamalo, Bubale. Bobaleye, Peraga, Yebo, Bobaleye, Peraga, Yebo. Yamayo, Yayama, Babalamima, Malone, Bobale, Yama, Yamapa, Bale, Yama, Yamapa, Bale, Yama. Redanga, Delumorebo, that Dana Baduma, Yamodia, Dedia, Yabalum, Yano, Vale, Yano, Vale, Yama, Peraga, Yebo.
Good evening, folks. We want to welcome our viewers and listeners across the globe. Thank you for joining us this wet East Coast today here. It's a white Christmas or whatever it is. I would say good evening. Welcome, Sarah. It's good to have you in the house. Emmanuel here. Mr. David Ton, Josephine Vincent. Good Friday. I hope the holiday, everything going too well. Truck on our man right there from South Dakota. Southwood, North Dakota. Man, I'm ready to screw here this evening. Evelyn Soul is coming in. Good evening. Our guy, Ali Okrama. Welcome to Melvin. Good to have you here this evening. To Yen, Bobby, Yen. Well, my goodness. Godwin Doe is here. Insurmountable Man is in the house. Veronica Scott is here. Steve Toba and the rest of the folks. If this is your first time, welcome on the Diaspora Informative News Outlet. I am your lead host, the only independent voice on this network, Alfonso Z. And so right here this evening. Of course, a long time community leaders still involved, going so and giving way to the young generation. Mr. Isaac Rule is in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Kamaru, good to have you here this evening. Thank you for all that you did. The only thing we have not hired a retirement program. I don't know what's going on, but I hopefully. Well, my guest is standing by backstage very shortly. You're gonna usher them in, but I do us a favor if you could just hit the share icon. I feel right there to just invite someone at your company. We are also live on our official YouTube channel as well. Joe Eli, good evening. Good to have you here. We have a very good committed folks here on this network. The diversity that is here is great. But we have a group here, the liberal wing led by the liberal progressive, his name Jerry. They are trying to do everything possibly they can to liberalize this network, but we will not give them chance. We will not let them to, we will not expel them. We're not going to create majority bloc or whatever group as they are trying to do. McCarthy Johnson, good to have you here. Thank you so much. Philip Cheer, good evening. Good to have you here. Well, the conversation is continuing. Let's get a ball rolling right here. And I'm Alfonso Zen, so of the Liberia Public Radio and LRT-TV. Right here from the New England Bureau. It's a very wet day here in the East Coast, but notwithstanding, that will not deter us to do what we love doing, to what we should be doing, what you count on us to do, to have these national, painful, critical conversation for the good of our country. Let's get a ball rolling. So right here, right now. Thank you so much. Let's get the ball rolling right here, right now, in tonight's edition. That's a Friday editions of LPR TV Live, the Analysts. I want to welcome all of you. Thank you so much. Let's remove this here to get the ball rolling right here this evening. Here we go. Good evening, good evening, good evening. I want to welcome you, whatever you are, this morning, this evening, this afternoon, depending on your location. We say good to have you here. It is because of you we are here, and we will continue to have this conversation. The building you see behind me here is more or less the most controversial divided house that we have right now in the country. My understanding, they are transition to City Hall now temporarily, seeking temporary political shelter while the conversation is going on. The president is having meeting, expulsions still in force. Rule guide James Collet still remain vehement to his decisions. So what are the consensus of the team? So that's whatever it is. But what we try to do is to make the conversation proportional to much bias, give it a more broader conversations, hearing from all sides, what are the takes, what are they on to the majority or minority, that it doesn't really matter to me. What is important is to have this sort of proportional conversation to hear all sides. And that is to engage in some of the Liberian-based organizations. And tonight edition, the program going to be in two segments at 9 o'clock, 9:10. The analysts going to be joining me. But in the meanwhile, we decided to reach out to the Unions of Liberian Associations. ULLA is sort of multitasking here, political, social, whatever it is involved in multitudes of roles. And we all know when it comes to ULLA, the involvement of ULLA, eventually it's all of even former presidents, they are all being members of ULLA. So ULLA is uniquely positioned as well to engage international conversation. And for us here at LPR, there's no boundaries, there's no stopping point for us. We reach everywhere to get the side of the story. We managed to this during the week to reach out to the executive of the unions of the Liberian-based organization right here in the United States, and the president and his executive considered to be here to hear from them. So what are we read their positions on both print, electronic media, but to hear from them. This process it's already, it seems to be all over, but it's a genuinely over. What could potentially be the legacy of President Joseph Numa Boakai with respect to the removal of the sitting speaker? I don't know whether that two speaker, now speaker number one, speaker number two, whatever it is. What the hell is going on in that country? Should people be babysitting? Oh, well, my guests, they are here. I'm going to be breaking them. And I will not want no any spin here on them. We're going to push them. We're going to ask them the questions. And what we are hoping that they're going to tell us their honest mind and what it means. The future of this organization as well. If they are engaged in international government and what the government is telling them. Okay, time check here is 8:02 Eastern Standard Time. Very wet day in the East Coast, especially right here in my own ocean state of Rhode Island. I know Massachusetts is also, I'm not sure about Connecticut and other places. But let me just bring in what my guests, they are here, they have assembled. Let me see here. Let's get a ball rolling. That's the vice chairman, the Reverend James D. Barclay. He's also a councilman, politically grounded. So we're going to tap into his expertise as well here. The only thing here, the taboo here tonight, I don't want no spinning, no answer here. I call you guys here to get strictly to the point to get the answers as it is. I wouldn't need to even season it. Let's just eat it as raw as it is. The Reverend James D. Barclay. The Reverend, good evening. Good to have you here again.
Good evening. It's my pleasure to be with you again.
Okay. Man. Are you in Morovia or are you here?
I'm here in the United States.
Oh, I thought you went as a special envoy also from the ULLA, went to have a conversation with the Divided House. That's what somebody told me. Oh, Reverend Barclay is in Liberia. He meeting the guys to City Hall, the other group. I don't know where they are.
No, we would never have done that without your knowledge. You would have known. As public figure, you would have known right away.
I know. Okay, look, Reverend, good to have you here. Thank you so much. I know it sounds more redundant coming here to introduce yourself, but this network, every day, every minute, anytime we come here, there are new followers, new viewers, new listeners, and we do not like to leave our people in doubt. People that we talk to, I don't want them to kind of second guess who was that man. They call you, not even introduce yourself. Why is he can talk? So I always like to get it out. Introduction is not one of my favorites. So let's get a ball rolling here. Reverend James D. Barclay. Who is he? And so we'll get right down to the wire.
Thank you again. To our listening audience, my name is Reverend James Barclay. I live in Pleasantville, New Jersey. I'm a city council member. And I also serve my community as the first vice chairman of the board of directors of the Union of Liberian Associations in the Americas. It is my pleasure to be here because if you have followed me throughout my life's journey, I have been involved and I'm highly passionate about things that concern my country, Liberia. So we are here today to discuss and share our thoughts and our pieces of advice of how we think which route our country can take for the benefit of our people. So I want to thank you for inviting us tonight.
Okay, and I really appreciate after reaching out to the president without hesitation, he consented and that the team going to be here, and we anticipate having a very frank and honest conversation. I know ULLA is also politically deep. We know the route, myself being privileged to be part of this, serve on the election commissions, and I know how sometimes when it comes to ULLA election, how it can be. But strictly at this event, will go thousands of miles away, like you rightfully alluded, deeply involved in your country and also politics here. There's some unusual things taking place here. What it is, the laws in our country is quite different from what is here, or we have a different game rules here. We want to discuss all of that, and we'll respect your view, your honest. But there's a press statement will be coming to that here. But you as a councilman, let's go that way. Hopefully, the president himself will be joining us here. What do you make of all of this that is unfolding inside Liberia?
Well, what is unfolding in Liberia is very much mind-troubling to most of us who boast daily about what Liberia is and what it represents in the United States. We amplify our boasts when the election results of 2023 were announced, the procedures that were adopted, the peaceful manner in which it went, the concession that was given by the outgoing president, and the relationship we believe that is existing between former and current leaders. We always express hope in our country and we always believe that there will be better coming out of our country. But let me just backtrack a little bit and give you my own history about my involvement with Liberia and its leaders. I have adapted the position that whenever Liberians elect a leader democratically, I have no choice but to accept that leader. I practiced that during the time of Mr. Salif. We visited her every one of the times she came here. I led a delegation of African students from Stockton University to meet her in New York. I also did the same thing when Dr. Bwaka, vice president at the time, visited New Jersey. He hosted a big program with the one of the universities in the city of Camden. I assembled African community leaders to surround our vice president, giving the support that he needs. I did the same thing during the Weah administration, and I continue to do the same. However, what is happening in Liberia is what we'll be really dwelling on tonight, because we saw Speaker Kofa and President Bwaka to be treading a very much beautiful path. We saw the level of collaboration which we view as a means of hope that our country was going in that right direction until this saga occurred. And I'm going to be brief with my introduction to give my colleagues the opportunity to introduce themselves. But we are going to go deeper into this discussion. And when we leave, the public will know ULLA's position on this case and ULLA's advice on this case.
Okay, yeah, I see the president backstage, but for some reason the camera is still not sufficient to capture his image. Hopefully, Mr. President. But let me bring in Mr. Stephen Bender Sr. Am I getting it right? Can you unmute your microphone, sir?
Sure, you are correct.
Okay, good to have you, Mr. Bender. I'm not sure what I had an opportunity to interact with you. Do you remember anything of such on this network? Are we had any interactions on this network before?
No, this is my first appearance, and I want to thank your network for the opportunity afforded our organization, ULLA. And I've followed this network religiously for a good time. And I think you guys are doing an excellent job. Thank you so much for all you do for our country and our people. It's a pleasure being here today.
Okay, I come and give you some sort of brain teaser question here, then we'll get to the prayer. We have a
Sure.
guy here called the liberal. We have a guy here, one of the hosts here, he's the most liberal on this network. And I'm the most kind of moderate guy, see things from in the real world. But for them, they wear dark shades and they look at you when you're white shades. What a white to say that. So the liberal and versus the moderate, who is your favorite Lee angle here? I'm trying to cause trouble. You don't need to answer that question. Yeah, I don't want that to feel different. But Mr. Bender, good to have you here. Quickly, let's please introduce yourself. I see here external relations chair. That's interesting.
Thank you again for the opportunity. My name is Stephen Bender. I'm a Liberian residing in the state of Pennsylvania. I serve as chairperson on external relations for the Union of Liberian Associations in the Americas. Prior to my appointment by the national leadership, I served as Assistant Secretary General for the Liberian Association of Pennsylvania. Later on, I went up to become the Secretary General for Liberian Association of Pennsylvania. And then after serving diligently in my local chapter, I was appointed by the former president of ULLA, Mr. Shogo Kamara, as Deputy Press Secretary for the Union of Liberian Associations in the Americas. I served that position, and then the new administration headed by Honorable Mohammed Keita came in and appointed me as Extended Relations Chairman for ULLA. And basically, my role is to create a bridge and also maintain that bridge between the Union of Liberian Association in the Americas and that of our extended partners, whether it is the United States government, whether it is nonprofit other organizations, and that of the Liberian government and other friendly nations that we do hold strong relationship with in regards to ensuring that the dreams and aspirations of Liberian across this country and that of Canada, it is protected. So in a nutshell, that's who I am. It's a pleasure being here. It's always a pleasure serving our people. And let's get after it.
Okay, external. I love that intro. So probably maybe you're en route to Liberia to break the deal and see what happened. I don't know. Or whether you have been there already. Mr. President, good to have you. Thank you very much. And I really do appreciate here on LPR to talk to our community leaders. And like I say in our brief conversation, it's important to know our organization, their position when it comes to critical issues in our country. We shouldn't just only hear from them when there are good times or when there are challenging times. We need to know who they are in terms of their decision making. So we have read some of press releases, everything, but I'd like to get it from the house's mouth. I want to see what was put on paper commensurate with talking to you with both of you guys. So hearing your position here tonight, I can then say it's an official position because I can only delete the video. So, Mr. President, good to have you here as well. Thank you so much, and I really appreciate it. Let's get the ball rolling here. Look, when it comes to ULLA, the thought of ULLA of many Liberians varies, depends who you talk to. So other people say Confucianists, other people say those are the people that led to the Civil War. Oh, they are job seeker. I don't have problem with anybody working for their country. I would have problem anyone who has the expertise and you refuse to work for your country. There's something wrong somewhere. That's my own thinking. So put it into context here, Mr. President. This whole ULLA here, there's a lot of conspiracy, people own thinking about this ULLA. What is ULLA to really? Is this ULLA is an advocacy group? What does this really to represent? Why should we even trust deal with ULLA with all of these people's self-interpretations about this association, this organization? What is the missing link?
Well, thank you so much, for inviting us tonight to do it. and for your good work. I want. Well, ULLA is very simple. People say ULLA this, ULLA that. ULLA is an advocacy group, a higher study. ULLA also had an humanitarian organization that helped Liberian and other nationalities, not only Liberian. ULLA is a giver. And ULLA been there, stood by Liberia throughout, before the war, during the time of the war. And ULLA is not anywhere seeking position in Liberia. If an individual having to take upon themselves to go there, fine. But ULLA now is an advocacy group. ULLA also is an humanitarian organization, and we do all that. But it's not a confessional organization to say we put full of trouble. No. We only seek the interest of Liberians. We come to the Liberian when there is injustices. We will stand up anytime for Liberian, whether in America or in Liberia or any part of the world. That's what ULLA is for. And we're ready to answer all your questions tonight. So bring it on board. Thank you.
No salad dressing. Any question here, strictly you have made a commitment and we must keep to that commitment. Is good. We have a Reverend here who is also a vice chairperson. So let's see how the scripture and the real-time world want to see it. So Reverend Barkley, let me just come to you. Is there any extra you want to add to what the president say, or what in your own definitions as people categorize like different forms and shape? Which way should we go? What should we believe?
Well, I want to inform the public that ULLA is here based on two fundamental principles that brought us here tonight. The preamble of ULLA reads, to provide for our common good and advocate for political, social, and economic development in our country. It's just an excerpt from there. Then the motto of ULLA comes down and climaxes ULLA's position on Liberia. The motto reads, together we struggle for a better Liberia. So it's unfortunate that when ULLA comes and gets involved in Liberia's issue, and it does not meet the taste of a particular side, they categorize ULLA in any way they feel, but we stand on the principles upon which ULLA was founded. In short, to help our people, to provide clarity, to provide hope, and to provide a vision for our people. That's one of the reasons for which we are here tonight.
Okay. So, Mr. Bender, we're going to make it proportional, allow everybody to play, because with your title here, it seems to me now that you are literally like a special envoy to ULLA such a case like this now. Have you been to Liberia in recent time after this whole thing developed, or have you had the opportunity to talk to both sides to get a sense of what happened? Not just what coming from the media industry, because the media is polarized. We all know that. But how challenging is this position, extended relations?
Thank you very much. Just before I answer that question, I'd like to, add my voice to the voices of my president and that of the first vice chair, Honorable James Barkley. When people talk about ULLA, you see a mixture of different feelings and different opinions, and which is very good for our democracy. Since 1974 to today, if you look at the history books, you realize that ULLA has done far more better for our country than any other organization that ever existed in our country's history. We were one of those key drivers of showing that the rule of law was respected, that the conflict that racked our country for over 15 years was brought to an end. ULLA was part of the Accra Peace Accord. The peace that we enjoy today, ULLA played a significant role in that process. And some of the leaders that we even have today as leaders in our country, those individuals originated from that of ULLA. And so in the nutshell, ULLA has played and continue to play that leading role when it comes to the of the rule of law. I just want to make that very clear so our viewers and listeners can understand where we've come and where we are headed. And so building on that foundation and moving on to the future, we continue to move in a direction that the forefathers and forebearers of this organization thought otherwise was very appropriate. And that is bringing Liberians together, standing up for the rule of law, and holding government accountable, irrespective of where individuals stand, but the law remains the law. Now, coming to the question that you posed, we've been engaged at all levels with our partners in Liberia. And I say partners intentionally because these individuals and institutions are Liberians and they play a very pivotal role when it comes to our politics in our country. And so we classify them as our partners. They are our partners. And so we've been holding consultations at all levels with the government of Liberia. I was in Liberia in July this year. I have gone to the country with a delegation from ULLA, over 9 persons. We have gone to the country basically to thank the Liberian government for leading the charge, even though ULLA led that process, but the lawmakers themselves in the national government led the signing into law the dual citizenship bill. Mind you, ULLA led our effort, and today Liberians can travel to Liberia. So if somebody asks, what is ULLA doing? What has ULLA done? This is one of those things that we can boast of. Today you have dual citizenship bill. That could not have been possible without the leadership of ULLA. And so we have gone to Liberia basically to commend the government of Liberia for listening to Liberians because we are drivers. We contribute over $300 to $400 million to that country every year. We run the economy. Liberians in the diaspora run the economy of Liberia. And so we have gone to say thank you as a government. But not only that, we have gone also to begin a national conversation, a conversation this time around not on dual citizenship, but out of country voting. And so we have gone on the ground to tell the government that, hey, even though we have dual citizenship bill, it's about time Liberians in the diaspora have an opportunity to vote in our national elections. Because this is not about us begging the government. It is in the Constitution. It is constitutional prescription. So we need the government to begin laying the framework to ensure that Liberians in the diaspora, irrespective of where you reside, whether it is Guinea or whether it is in Singapore, you must be able to vote as long as you are a Liberian. So we started our foundation conversation, and we are in the process of going back to Liberia early next year to continue that conversation. And so ULLA is actually engaged. Even with this crisis, we've been engaged with all of the actors. We've written several communications to the quote-unquote majority bloc leader, Samuel Koga. We've spoken with him. We've also written communication to the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Fanati Kofa. We've also written letters to the Office of the President. We've also written letters to our other partners, AU, ECOWAS. All of these actors have also been written and reached out to ULLA. So yes, we are deeply involved with this identical situation that is escalating, I should say, in our country. And we are not just sitting on the fence. ULLA is deeply involved. And at this point, it's just about a time that we call spade a spade. And that's where we are right now. And it's sad for our country.
All right, we're gonna unveil what is in that bag tonight here. But let me just bring in the president, Mr. President. Let me just ask this question to the team here. There are multiple releases out there from ULLA. We respect the most. I will see here this one that says ULLA condemns the act of lawlessness in Liberia. So let me ask this question. I know ULLA, there are a lot of professional people from different backgrounds, perhaps with different political interested. Walk me through, if you will, before this official publications of this statement here. I want to know whether it was a general consensus or is still a little kind of divided house with this official statement here. There's somewhere I'm driving before we can go further. How intense it was to get this statement out here to say ULLA condemns the act of lawlessness in Liberia. We'll go to the details, but I just want to know the sort of consensus that was built before this official publication.
Well, thank you so much. ULLA is one ULLA and one leadership. Whatever you read in the newspaper or the letter you have there, of course, is a concession. we in the leadership were elected to do the people job. So that's ULLA voice right there in your hand.
So, how difficult are they? Are they listening to ULLA? The presence of ULLA inside herself, not inside herself, is a responsibility because most of these people that also occupy positions, they were one members of the union. What was the reception before this statement here? Walk me through what was the backyard conversation that was held with both parties and even maybe the executive. I did hear Mr. Bender saying even reaching out to the executive. Am I correct? The office of the president.
Yes, we did.
Why you decided to bring the office of the president into the picture?
Oh wait, it's crystal clear that the president is the leader of our country, and when we are in such a space as this, where directions seem to be very gloomy, I think it's just fair enough that the individual elected to be the head of the government and to lead our country is invited. Mind you, we have a president who is of age, but not only that, he brings to the table over 40 years of experience. And so one would expect that when you find yourself wrapped up in this constitutional crisis, the least you can do as an organization is to just reach out to the one who has the government. And on the basis of that, we thought it wise to reach out to the president to say, Mr. President, we are concerned as an organization. Things are not right in our country. We want you to exercise leadership and lower the temperature in the room.
What specific with leadership, people listening? I'm a free thinker, so sometimes I think above my shadow, and I'm going to be coming to the other gentleman. But when you say you want the president to exercise leadership, what specifically you were requesting the president to do? What sort of leadership you were asking for?
Leadership in the sense that the president will be able to call the both sides of the table and find an amicable solution to this identical impasse that is existing at the national legislature. That is what we want the president to do. And that is why we've made it our duty to call the president attention to this identical situation, because this is not only affecting Liberians in Liberia, this is also affecting Liberians in the diaspora.
Okay. So, Mr. President, before I go to Reverend Bartlett, just what you said, that was the trumpet I was blowing here. The president, the executive needs to intervene politically, and politicians would know when to say we want them to intervene. And other people say, no, there are separations of power, this, that. So, Mr. President, after reaching out to the president, what was the reception? What was the feedback? Was there anything you got specifically from the office of the president or the executive to say, hey, this is our position, this is the way we are going? Was there any definitive stance on the part of the executive at the time we're having a conversation?
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Zero. You see, basically, we are here representing the diaspora Liberia. What is happening in our country, it is our bound duty to make sure that we inform or rate the leadership in our country. Though we have not received any formal reply from the president, the letter was sent there. But we just want to make sure that we put the government on record. The Liberians are looking and they're watching what is happening to their nation. Seeing the proliferation of so many wording, most especially the interpretation of the law of the country, have become the issue that even a man who have not even gone through the rule of law of that country, they will know they interpret their own way. So our letter sending it to the president of Liberia to make sure that those rules are here to at least the best he could do, like what the foreign minister just said, is to intervene. It might be a separation of power or leadership within, but there is a little clause there. What if, let's say, everything turns to a chaotic situation? Supreme Court not functioning. The House is not functioning. What will you do to help the Liberian people? Will the president sit down and say that they are side? Let me sit down to my side here. What will you do? Will you tell something to order? So we inform the Liberian government. This is what happened to our country, and our people are not satisfied. So in the future, they can't say, well, they didn't let us know. So it is not only the president alone, we also send it to the speaker as well.
Okay, so Reverend Barclay, let me just bring you in here. You are official, you as a council person here. The issue of the executive being involved, some of us give a hit, and the politics of Liberia is an open field. People have their own interpretations. The country is polarized. People have their own side, which is great. From what I'm hearing from your colleagues, the president and the Mr. Ben here, was there an ideal process? You being an official council member, where you see the executive and the legislature having this sort of, they having something to have the executive to intervene. Are you one of those that offer that sort of council advice to go ahead with that?
Thank you very much. Before I address your question, I just want to express our concern over two things that occurred in 2 consecutive days in Liberia: the beating of protesters and the burning of the Capitol building. They disturb our minds very much, and we want to extend our sincere concern to the people of Liberia. We feel their pains. This building is a historic building. It should never have been burned. And we also feel that those that demonstrate must enjoy the freedom to assemble and express their opposition to issues that affect their lives without being subjected to any form of brutality. Now, coming to answer your question, this thing happens in the United States for common. This does not suggest that the president, who is the head of different branch of government, runs the other branch. But you have seen, as a member of the Democratic Party, we have instructed President Biden to invite our congressional people for consultation in the White House. And he has done it repeatedly. Why? Because it is good that the president and his party's representatives are on the same line and they put out good behavior in the eyes of the public. Why do I say this? Campaign begins before election time. Every step of leadership is campaign within itself. So we're assisting the president by advising him to get involved, to quiet this thing, and we believe that he has listened to us or even given us a response. We would have advised him further and we would have reached the point at which we are today.
So we here, I do not intend to sound very condescending here, but sometimes we say it is part of our job. We tell people what they need to know, not necessarily what they want to hear. So on LPR here, less entertainment is what we're gonna do, because we leave that with MC Carol. Here we are now, and like what some of you say, we say what the president, the executive can get involved politically, take phone, call member of the house, hey, I need a speakership. This is what I want to do. Politicians, they cut deals, they make deals, they can get people from the other side and get them be, persuasive. It didn't happen. Here we are, and we are not hearing, even though I have not talked to anybody, just little, and hopefully we have Melvin Cole here on Sunday as well, reach out to the other group. We are not hearing people that were saying the executive can't get involved. Conversation is taking place now. This is a complete obituary. The crisis we try to avoid because we are unable to always manage crisis. The crisis is on hand. Conversation going. We see the other side suspension still in force, suspending other people. What sort of conversation is that? Is it still peaceful?
We really see the situation has been escalated already. So we are attempting to just minimize it and contain it where it is and see where we can find a resolution. And we know there were a lot of missteps, and the missteps are continuing today.
From whom? Where's the mistake coming from, Ravi?
Let me just be very honest here. And we are not here to, because I look at the time, we are here for 1 hour.
Oh, no, I mean, there was a little delayed, so
Okay.
don't worry about the time. I just want some real clear-cut answer, not these sort of political answers that are meant to kind of salad dress. I'm not a salad-eating type of person. My palm butter and all of the kind of thing. The other guy, he let go, but me, I let my palm butter with dry meat.
The Union of Liberian Associations in the Americas recognizes one speaker of the 55th legislature, and he is J. Fonati Kofa.
Oh, hold on one second. The unions of like ULLA, Mr. President, is that so? Are you saying then or now?
Well, here is the
Because there's
issue.
another guy. The reason I'm asking, there was another guy that came and put he left him out. He speak out. The budget now we see it being expedited. Moving in. So I just want to get it crystal clear. Who is the speaker now of the House of Representatives that this institution has recognized?
The only thing I want to say here, and let me be quoted right here on the national TV. Y'all tell the House of Representatives to stop playing with the Liberian people. We didn't elect you in our office to sit there and play with the law. They should stop. We are here, as far as we're concerned, the Speaker of the House at this moment is still J. Fonati Kofa. If the man removed from the office and is written there, that's a different thing. But look at it this way. It's so shameful that you see a gentleman, I think what his name, Kuhn, Mr. Honorable Kuhn, they say he is a speaker. J. Fonati Kofa is a speaker. And people sitting there in the government embracing such things, nobody saying anything. Nobody saying anything. Now they're burning down our historical building, which when we don't even know who put fire there. Now you look at the other side, police going after demonstrator. For what reason?
No, let's do it in bit and pieces. Let's do it in bit and pieces, Mr. President, with respect to this whole speaker thing. That is the cardinal point of this conversation, and that is really in place. Now, you express your concern on what all was going on. And my understanding, if I'm wrong, you guys can bring me to baseline. My understanding now that you have come to the conclusion that J. Fonati Kofa is the speaker that you have recognized, correct?
Yes.
In our talking, have you written the government of Liberia, whether they like it or not? But this is ULLA's position considering all that is unfolding. We still consider Fonati Kofa. At what point in time that will you see Fonati Kofa not being the Speaker of the House of Representatives in Liberia? So what is the factor that left out for which you still standing your ground?
Well, if they feel that Fonati Kofa were replaced by the House, Liberian people are supposed to get that information. First of all, you can see there is a file to the Supreme Court, which we're still waiting for a response. Fonati Kofa is recognized other area.
Mr. President, interruption is not my favorite, but we hold people accountable, and any of you can come to not a Unity Party rescue rescue. If you're still waiting for the response from the Supreme Court, then why will you preempt? You don't know what the Supreme Court going to say. So then, how can you arrive at the point of that you still you taking this position? Because if the case is going to Supreme Court, then there's a dispute. The Supreme Court will be the one will come to interpret, even though the Minister of Justice or the Attorney General came and said, what is it? And they have far gone further for that, for more clarity on the side of the Supreme Court. So that, in my understanding, is still put hooks on it to get a clear meaning.
All right, let me clarify right here. I did not say we're still waiting for the Supreme Court. I said there's a written document to the Supreme Court. The Justice Minister went there and he did his own interpretation. Fanatic Kofa have their own interpretation of the law. Until now, Fanatic Kofa has not been replaced.
Oh, okay.
Anything of that nature, displaying over there, he has been voted out. We only know Fanatic Kofa until they can come out with a real ruling to say, yeah, we all agree to this. Until then, we only recognize Fanatic Kofa to be the Speaker of the House.
Okay, let me come to the envoy before going to Mr. Bartley. So, Mr. Bender, from what I try to sense out here, the positions of ULLA, you still have Fanatic Kofa as you still recognize Fanatic Kofa as the Speaker until the interpretations, the bill filed by the Kofas until clear-cut position comes out of the Supreme Court of Liberia. Is that the case? Is that a condition at time?
No, I mean, it's crystal clear that the Supreme Court has made a determination in this matter already. To the best of my knowledge, the 6th of December, the Supreme Court took a decision, and in its ruling, the Supreme Court was very clear that whenever a section is called, there has to be a presiding officer. And that presiding officer is the Speaker of the House of Representatives. And the only time another person can preside, which is the Deputy Speaker, is when the Speaker is absent. In this instant case, Honorable Fanatic Kofa has been in the country. He hasn't been absent. He has been holding regular sessions. But not only that, the court went one step further to declare and describe the actions of some members of the House of Representatives as being ultra-variant. Now, we are aware, based upon our own reading and that of consultations were held by our organization with legal luminaries, not only individuals in Liberia, but within the United States and around the globe. We shared our reading with a lot of our friends and our partners organizations. They made their position very known and clear to us that the court does recognize Fanatic Kofa. Now,
which two reputable groups?
The Supreme Court.
The ruling of the Supreme Court.
The ruling of the Supreme Court.
Yeah, I'm coming, Mr. Bender. The rulings of the Supreme Court that you share with other business partners across the world, which two reputable institutions or organizations you care to call them?
So within the organization, our organization, we do have our legal department. We do have our legal minds that we lean on whenever we have these legal issues. We do have our legal counsel. We just share that identical reading with them. However, there are also individuals who are also members of our organizations, Liberians across this country and around the globe, who are also legal luminaries that work both at the level of the State Department and other institutions. They were also opportune to take a look at that ruling, and they did speak with our organization in terms of what the Supreme Court did say. And again, the Supreme Court wrote clear English. When the Supreme Court said the decision of some members and actions taken with ultra-variance, they were referring to a specific group of people. In this instant case, Fanatic Kofa has never taken a decision. Instead, the other side took a decision to suspend. They took an action to also move things around from the original section. So on the basis of that, and considering what the laws are, we've made the decision as an organization to go with the rule of law, and that is to recognize Fanatic Kofa as a legitimate speaker. But not only that, we've also made clear our own position to the government of Liberia. We've issued our position statement, and we've also alerted the United States government, we've alerted the European Union, we've alerted ECOWAS as it relates to ULLA's position. And not only that we've alerted them, we've also made our position also crystal clear in our communication that the United States government and our partners, which is the EU, ECOWAS, must also begin the process of holding Liberian officials responsible for violating the rule of law. And
So
in
say,
that light, what we are saying as an
question,
organization, we
you
are
know,
we are calling on the United States government to start to impose sanctions on Liberian officials who are deemed as the masterminds behind the violation of our constitutional rule of law. That is
okay,
our position,
that,
and it's
that,
critical on that.
yeah, I'm very selective in getting a specific, asking specific question based on what I hear from my people. You have asked for sanction. So are there people that you have in mind who you think circumvents or who have intruded into this whole process? Government officials from both, maybe judiciary, the legislature, the executive. Is that the case?
I mean, we've seen what's going on in the country. We know the actors, and all we are saying as an organization is that the Americans must begin holding individuals responsible, regardless of who they are. For now, I wouldn't want to call names. You know, we don't want to engage into that context.
So,
but the Americans
I understand
are aware of those who are violating our laws, and those individuals must be held accountable. That is our position.
I understand the language of a person being a foreign minister. The tone is always diplomatic. But the person that want to cut through this corridor now is the Reverend, because he's going to take us straight in. The Bible says, the truth shall set you free. The Reverend, who are those people responsible for this thing that ULLA has filed this position? Look, these are the people, these are government officials, these are lawmakers, these are people that are derailing the democratic process, are hijacking the process in the country. What they are doing is not. Who are those people? Do you care to share those people with names of what?
So again, thank you very much. We have been very careful not to violate the same rules that we are talking about. In our communication, we advise the United States government and our international partners to begin the process of investigating the situation in Liberia. So this means that we have not had culprits yet, but we feel that the laws are being violated and being compromised. Let me just give you a little baffling example.
Is it correct that you are in the meanwhile you are still pushing sanctions if those people are identified, like what your foreign minister said?
Absolutely. We have already started circulating letters to our Congress people that those that will be responsible will bear the full weight. As American taxpayer, they will bear the full weight, because what they are doing in Liberia will do one thing: may stir up confusion and may violate the immigration policy that the new government of the United States is about to institute. Because when there is confusion in a country, there is flight of residents leaving the country. So we want to prevent this. And somebody will be responsible if this thing continues to escalate. But what we are asking for is investigation by our international partners, is what we are looking for.
What are you hearing from them? What has been their response? Are you still talking to them, or are they telling you something? And what are they telling you, especially from the United States, from the partners, especially
To
from
be very honest with you, we are all taking strategic approach. So we will release to the public what we have signed and we have agreed upon. But what is in the process is undiplomatic to start to discuss it when it's in the pipeline and moving on. So, but I can tell you with full assurance that we'll push for sanctions, because what is happening in Liberia has the potential to destabilize the country. And we are trying to prevent that from happening.
No, Mr.
I just want
President.
to add quickly to what Honorable Barkley just said. In addition to sanctions, we are also calling on our partners to begin instituting travel restrictions. We are quite aware that some of those actors at the national legislature, they do have family members who reside in America. Yeah, they have their kids. They have other family members here, and some of them themselves, they normally occasionally travel to the United States. And so we want our partner to take cognizance of that, to ensure that those individuals who bear the greater responsibility for the blatant violation of our laws are not only placed on sanctions, but are also placed on travel restrictions.
So what I wanted to ask here, are all these conditions in the process of talking to GOL, talking with the GOL, if they do not hear, and which seems to be the case, because I'm not sure whether this guy, what his name, Kong, going to go back to that position here. Have you guys made it crystal clear to your next approach if all as current conversation didn't come to fruition, it appears to be that you're going to be pushing these things as you communicated this with the GOL as well? Is that something
I mean, our position is pretty clear. We've issued our position statement. That was last week. It was published in all of the major local dailies. We sent additional communication out. So our position is pretty clear. The government of Liberia follows the media religiously. They are in tune with all that is happening around the country. And we are very aware that they've seen and they've understood our own position. However, the government is yet to reach out to ULLA. We are hoping that they can do that. We are open to providing them any additional information why we are taking this step. But again, like the rest of my colleagues have said, this is about the rule of law. You know, we cannot always do the same thing over and over and think that things are just normal. We got to get to a point where it's going to stop. And this is where it is at this point.
There must be, and this is what I want to know here, there must be a person who drove this train without a technician to get us to be where we are today. Have ULLA identified the unknown technicians that was on that train to get Capitol building to be in such a dysfunctional, disorganized, and chaos? Speak on minority black, speak on majority black. The whole house now has transitioned to the city corporation and to do their business, which of course the law says they can still work within the proximity in the capital and do it. But that's not a place it's supposed to be. Who is ULLA holding responsible to get us to this point?
I mean, at this point, we are not in the business of calling names, to be precise, because like Honorable Bagley said, there are consultations going on behind the scene with all of our partners. Just so you know that in the next few days, if not a week from now, we will be on Capitol Hill holding conversations with other partners in the United States government as well. So at this point, we want to just leave it as it is. We know, and Liberians themselves, they are fully aware, and thankfully, the United States and the European Union, they are following everything that's going on in our country. If you look at the statements being released by the United States government, for instance, I mean, not many people are taking cue for it, but the United States government is clearly making a position new on this matter. When this says repeatedly, all of that press releases that there needs to be a compromise. The United States government has said that every political differences must be handled through a compromise. That tells you that they haven't made up their mind to even recognize Kun, but instead they are sticking with the existing structure on the ground. So again, we are in the process of continuing a conversation with those partners that we have. And I can tell you this for the fact, just sitting from my end and reading through the window and some of the individuals and organizations we are holding conversation with, I can tell you this for a fact, that hairs will definitely roll in the next few months down the line.
Okay, what I've come to realize, I want to pivot to the President Keita, and that of Reverend Bartley. And I know, Mr. Bennett, as a foreign minister, you are literally playing the role of, it reminds me of Dr. Abbas Bono of ECOWA doing all of these things. So you're going to walk a complete diplomatic line here. But is it fair to say, Mr. President and Reverend Bartley, and I've said this here numerous times. Okay, the executive at some point in time said they were saying going to insect themselves. It is there's a separate branch of government going to be doing their own business. But then until we came at times, there was unprecedented move by the executive. While the impasses were still ongoing, we saw the budget being sent to the majority bloc. We saw security details. We saw all sign indicators that people began to see that something unusual happening. Considering all of those indicators, is it fair to say the executive hand they were inside this whole thing?
Well, we don't want to say the executive hand was inside this thing here. And we really appreciate the president the executive taking the first step to go see the Capitol building. After the first fire came, they don't care to go there. But the second one that came now, they went for that. maybe the third one will be a different story. You know, and we don't want to say what the executive hand is in the thing here. The executive.
No, honestly, to be frank, I really don't care. Now that it's not important because there are root causes. The issue of that fire could have been prevented. It's because people deliberate actions, not knowing after the precautions of certain things not being put in order, get us to be where we are. So they all get that building to be why it is, and that's a different conversation in itself because there are a lot of mixed information coming. But I'm asking the act by the executive branch of government, why this sort of unstable situation or ongoing now going to court in the middle of that, the executive send the budget to the majority bloc. That seems to mean to validate the legality of this majority bloc. So my question here, with all of that indicator, is it fair to say the executive then took a side?
Well, from now, and I don't want to say the executive took side in the whole situation here by sending the like say the budget to the majority bloc. I don't think to say they took side. The only thing the executive is missing right here, not adhering to the Supreme Court ruling. That is our concern. It could be the three branches of government, but they all work hand in hand to make sure that rule of law is applied to. But to say they took side, I don't want to say they took side.
So when the Supreme Court makes the decisions, who interprets the decisions of the Supreme Court of Liberia?
Well, the interpretation of that comes mainly from the Justice Ministry.
And who did this?
Yeah, to interpret it.
Yeah, and so who interpreted this one this time around? Was that a Justice Minister or a different person?
This time around, it was interpreted by the Justice Minister based on what was written by the Supreme Court. And the Justice Minister's interpretation of the Supreme Court rule, some of us look at that, no, that was not the right thing. I think maybe the Supreme Court itself did not even clarify what it wrote, because the Supreme Court said unconstitutional the issue of electing or let's say putting another speaker there. Now they again, in our same paper again, they use precedent. You have to be precise. If you say constitutional or unconstitutional, you should stick with that. But if you start using precedent, anybody can go back 100 or some more years, precedent that this thing happened before. That's why we follow the rule this way. So going back to Supreme Court by the Speaker of the House was the best thing that he did.
Okay.
I just like to add quickly to what the president said, and that is the executive by our constitution, the executive provides protection. Now, we saw security personnel assigned with the Speaker of the House of Representatives being withdrawn by the executive. Now, the question here is, and I will leave that to the audience and other Liberians to answer, the action by the executive, was that in itself implying that the executive aided and abetted this identical situation? That's a question that I will not want to answer. I will leave that to the public. But everybody's exactly what it is.
Why would you want to undo that? Why would you want to address that question?
I think because the Liberian people are sensible enough to know. The Liberian people are sensible what is at play.
You are holding the president responsible of leadership, and leaders should be able to make some bold and critical decisions so as to know exactly where you stand, what your point why your argument to go on the record. Why would you want to leave it with the public?
I mean, the reason is because the Liberian people know exactly what is at play. For us as an organization, we have made a determination that the executive and all of those other actors, some way or the other, aided and abetted what is going on at this point.
Robin Barclay?
Thank you. Let me just start with the issue of the Supreme Court. I understand the legal terminologies that were used in the procedure, but the Supreme Court, the members are Liberians. They are well educated, academically and culturally. They know our culture. The Supreme Court was aware that there is confusion in Liberia. Everyone was expecting them to just interpret in plain Liberian way for people to understand. But I can take the mud in the water. They gave a ruling now that's flare of flames. Everyone is claiming victory. What help did they provide? Zero. On the issue or if the president took side, nobody told the president to take side. But if two individuals are arguing about a vehicle, you take the key, you give it to one person, what have you done?
You
The
tell me.
president preferred the majority by sending the budget to them, by sending a cabinet minister to go and appear before them. You know, I understand why some folks in Liberia may be afraid to speak. Fine. But why should I be afraid to speak the truth when I'm in the United States of America? I should speak to the truth.
So,
definitely.
So if you're in Liberia, that would be a different thing, Ravi? Is that what you're saying? Or
no, I was never afraid. If you were there during the time of the war, we were in the streets, distributing food, doing everything we could do. I grew up in the rank and file of the struggle for change. I was a young boy, 79, distributing leaflets. I know there are some people that are prepared to lay their lives down when it comes to change, to advocating for change. And as a minister, as a pastor, this is where I find myself, to advocate for change and to speak truth. The president deliberately preferred the majority black. There is no secret about it.
okay, I know we will continue to have a conversation. So, for discussion purposes, gentlemen, Mr. President, the official, if it remains as it is right now, I'm not sure whether anything is irreversible again, considering all that is going on. The many committee, instituted committee in play, budget now, talking about how renovation going to take place here. What could be the potential relationship with this government, the Joseph Newman Boycott government, if there's no second thought in their decision, which most likely is to be the case? What can we forecast would be the relationship of this ULLA, of this administration, that of Joseph Newman Boycott? Will you still then do business with the government?
Yeah, let me just, so we don't want to close the windows. We don't want to close the doors. We are a group of people that believe in possibility.
You think that man said in that chair, they take the chair, they not bring different chair to City Hall, you think you're going to move from in that chair for a different person to go inside, Reverend?
Well, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt, but we on our side will continue to do what we are doing. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt, but we'll not begin our conversation by closing the windows and the doors.
I don't think the president agrees with you. Let me turn to the president. You see, if I come to Benda playing a diplomatic role as a foreign minister, I come to you, Reverend, you want to open the scripture, you want to open this other one here. Let the president bulldoze this thing here. Let's, Mr. President.
Yeah.
Will you still do business with that?
We work hard in this country and in Liberia to make sure democracy prevails in our country. We duly elected the president and all those people that are in government in power today. We're not going to defranchise Liberian people right and to say we're not going to speak to the president of Liberia. Our doors are still open. We still talk with the president. We'll tell him, we're still writing. Tell him, Mr. President, we are watching, Liberia people are watching, do the right thing. It's our job to make sure we do that. We're not closing any gap. And there's no issue to say we should close the gap between the Liberian government and ULLA. No. Like right now, we are going to Liberia in April to make sure that we had a groundbreaking ceremony for our multi-complex in Liberia. That's our country. And our president's duty to make sure to listen to a citizen. And that's what we are doing. We're not fighting battle here. We'll keep on talking with the Liberian government over and over. We are demonstrated more than 60 years ago. Some of us were born in the demonstration. It will tell you some of the story when I believe it, and tell you how some of us, how we reached in Monrovia in the 80s. The right thing must be done. And the president of Liberia believed within himself that he believed in peace. He wouldn't. No circumstances for us to go back 50 years in 1980. Nobody want to go back. Nobody want to go back in 89. Nobody want to go back in 90. We don't want that. We are appealing to the House to make sure let them do the right thing. Liberian people suffer enough. And please, Mr. President, step in. If the House refuses to work, if the Supreme Court refuses to work, take executive order. It's there. Protect the Liberian people. Make sure we remain on the course of law. We'll stay engaged with the government of Liberia. We're not closing no window.
Do you think this president should, with this president's change? To the analyst, the link is out there, and for the next couple of minutes we'll have for the report. Analyst, the link is out there. Please check if you want to join the conversation here. Now, Mr. Bernard, I'm not sure. It looks like the train has already angled. I'm not sure. I don't know why we try to the window of conversation now. ECOWAS delegation went in. Everybody they were acting like babies, toddler, and that is why I don't like because we are not noted of managing crisis, but we always create this crisis. So when I see it coming, that is the time I can talk because when they're not there, well, who can run? Who can run straight? Because these people, they are adults and they are unable to say them. And all we are saying is the process. Now, until you are removed, whether it is comprehensive, we just do not know. And there are a lot of things that are happening, but we see the country stay as it is. The president is trying to smoke a peace pipe. I just see it as a complete obituary that would have been done a long time by inserting his political will, either to rally his people in the House, get the required number of 49, put the vote on the floor, speaker be impeached, because the book can't even have the quorum. That's the bottom line. They cannot have the quorum. It is a dangerous precedent that has been set. And I wouldn't be surprised when this get to it might cross over most likely in the Senate and maybe beyond. That's what we are saying here. And I know the list is out there here, but is there still light? Is there some sort of giveaway in this whole thing? You guys believe? ECOWAS delegation went there. Nothing. The people, they didn't want to talk to them, even though they were aware that they were going, but they didn't want to talk to them. Those guys, the committee now began to apportion money. People are going to be in charge of huge money to get work done. Those guys, they don't care. They're not going to listen to anybody. They don't want to listen to you. You know what I mean? All we're doing now is a complete job on exercise.
I mean, I understand the point you're coming from, and a lot of Liberians do understand they are totally frustrated, just like the way you are, and the host of others out there are all frustrated. But there are a couple of things we got to take cue from. One, it's becoming obvious, and the writings are clear on the wall. The country is drifting from its original position. It's drifting. We can see that on a daily basis. Liberia is drifting. I don't care which side of the aisle you are on. The country is drifting. And so we must take charge. The government and the president precisely must take charge of the situation. And this is very important because if you look in the region, our entire region is fragile. Take, for instance, Guinea. It took one man to bring the entire government down. One man. We got to learn from that experience. We're not hoping for that identical situation to occur in Liberia. Liberians have gone through a lot. We don't want to experience another 1980 or 1989 episode. We don't want that. And that is why we have maintained as an organization that the rule of law must be respected. There is no compromise when it comes to the rule of law. There's no issue of like a bargain. We don't bargain when it comes to the rule of law. It is out of the rule of law or nothing else happened. The rule of law is the chief scribe of this identical discussion. Once the rule of law is respected, everybody goes home happy and everybody will be able to live in peace and harmony. Anything short of that, we as an organization, we are afraid that our country is drifting, and if this situation continues, it has the proclivity to not only push our country back into the dark days, but it will render a lot of Liberians, to make sure that they actually feed our country, that which we only want. So we are very concerned, and that is why we have made it our duty to engage our partners. And when I say our partners, I'm very intentional on the use of the word because the United States is our partner. And a lot of times people get it mixed up. People don't understand when you say partner, what you really mean. Partner has a definition. Perhaps people need to define the word partner. Partner means somebody who works along with you, somebody who supports your dreams and aspirations. The Americans respect and support every action and decision that we take in the interest of Liberians living in America. They are our partner. And so we are engaging with them on a regular basis. The same thing with the United Nations and that of members of Congress. And so we'll continue to do that. But like the president said, we are not closing the curtains here. We are leaving the curtains halfway open. But at the same time, we will be on the side of the rule of law. We will not compromise the rule of law on this matter because the rule of law is the foundation of our country, and no country strives in the absence of the rule of law. And that is what we made our position very clear. We are hoping that the government and members of the legislature can see a reason to see how best they can compromise. We believe in miracle, like Honorable Barker said. There is always light at the end of the tunnel. When people think that the world is about to come to a close or the end, that's when something turned up. So we are very confident that at the end of the day, this is going to end very well for our people. But we got to be able to call a shot and say, hey, there is a yellow light that is flashing. We got to be very cautious because, mind you now, the election that brought President Work out to power, that election results sent a very clear call that our country is equally divided. You have a significant number of Liberians that do not support the government of the day, while at the same time there are other individuals, 50% of the country, that support the current government of the day. So when you are presiding over a country like that is heavily divided in the middle, you have to be very careful as to how you drive. Because mind you, any mistake can be very devastating, and that's what we're trying to prevent here.
So the question now becomes, how long can this institution, this organization can take this fight with ULLA?
For as long as the rule of law is being violated, we'll continue to be on this fight until the rule of law is respected.
ULLA is fragmented. ULLA have her own problem here. Could this be a potential problem that will be real, that will also cause chaos in the ULLA? That I know, we all know here. Is that something we're going to see that happening?
I mean, just let's correct the facts. ULLA is not fragmented. ULLA is an organization like any organization that is striving and continue to represent the interests of Liberians across this country. You know the records. The records are clear. We advocated for TPS in this country. Hundreds of Liberians were able to get status through ULLA. Donald Trump,
I'm getting the feedback. I don't know what.
When Donald Trump came to power, we continued our engagement, and today we were able to get the Everett bill, which is the Liberian Repatriation Enforcement Immigration Fairness Act passed. A lot of Liberians, benefited. Now, we are also on the path of showing that we can liaise with the Liberian government to ensure that Liberians in the diaspora have an opportunity to vote. So ULLA as an organization is not fragmented. ULLA is growing from strength to strength. We've made a remarkable mark, not only in our country, but on the hearts and minds of Liberians in the diaspora. So ULLA remains a very critical voice. If anybody in their right mind will want to overlook the existence or the influence of ULLA, you will be making one of the biggest mistakes. Because like we said, we are working for our partners and we will speak to our partners.
Okay, Mr. Victor Namwe, who's also a contributor here, analyst on this network. Mr. Namwe, good evening. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. So. It's good to be here.
Yeah. Look, I like this for a minute, so I think I want to have a conversation. We're going to be having a conversation. So quickly here, you said something here, just try to follow through to get a clear understanding that did I hear you saying the president with 40 years of experience, blah, 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 initially during the conversation?
Sure, the president, from all of the records we've seen and Liberians have seen, there has been a lot of reports out there that the president does have 40 years of experience.
1 second, Mr. Ben. I'm getting the feedback. I don't know where that comes from. Is it possible for people to just read your to see if you can continue once you call your there's an opportunity are you with another majority black here or what? I came on board and then we start hearing drum beating. Okay.
Let's one at a time.
Yeah. So okay. So yeah. Let me just. Let me just read this out. Okay. I think you're
Yeah,
coming.
I'm muted, but there's feedback. I'm muted.
Okay. I think you're coming from the president's side.
Okay, let me mute myself. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Let me just mute it. When I rather call you, I will unmute you. Okay. Let me go to this number here quickly here. 203 number 688. Good evening, caller.
Yeah, good evening, brother. So this is Wilson Keto.
Okay. Let's hear you, Keto.
Yes, I would like to say hi to the president and member of ULLA, being member of ULLA, but I speak in the capacity of Liberia first before being a member of ULLA board. I think this direction the administration is taking is the right direction. We sat in this country and saw our country, go down in flame. I think it's about time that we start to erect the checkpoint so those actors in our country can start to do the right thing. We can't sit there and have war, kill people, and then we continue to see almost the same thing creeping in our society and not speak out. We have to. We all support what's happening in our country in the past. And I think that's the direction. But I think we need to be simple, we need to be bold, we need to look at it and call it for what it is. Our constitution, the constitution has guided us, has been violated, and we should call it up for what it is. And if the president of the Republic of Nigeria is violating or enabling people to violate the constitution, we should call it up for it. And if it means for we to go up to State Department and let them know so they can start, ascertain ways to put sanction on people like we shouldn't take no side. We shouldn't mimic our words. We should be firm and let this country survive. People have invested a lot in our country now since our war got over. We have invested. Our family people put the hurts of war back on war. And now people are trying to read in the page. We should sit there and let it happen. Thank you so much, and I'd like to say thanks to the administration.
Okay, so now brought in something here. Would that be another option, gentlemen, where if there's no way, when peace is not given a chance to find a common solution, where we see ULLA making Liberian representation, State Department, or to Congress this year? Is that an option as well? And there you.
Say that again. I think I missed the question.
Yeah, what I was asking to you heard a gentleman saying here. See, let's unmute this. Let me see. Let me just. I was asking if all else we can't get to a final conclusion, would that be another option where you will mobilize Liberians to the State Department or Congress on this whole thing here?
I mean, I'm a very optimist person. I believe that there will be a time where we'll definitely be able to reach an amicable solution on this matter. I'm very confident we'll get to that point. I don't, envision rallying Liberians across this country to a parade, a whole peaceful demonstration in front of the United States Capitol. I really don't want us to get to that point. I'm very confident in considering all of the negotiations and the consultations that are ongoing with the government of Liberia and that of our partners. We are going to get to that point where we will be able to reach some level of compromise. I mean, again, like I said, the rule of law is very clear. You cannot literally bend the rule of law. The rule of law, it is the rule of law, whether you like it or not. I mean, and again, I can understand why most Liberians, if not a few of them, are supporting, people who are literally and visibly violating our laws. I can understand because our country is so polarized. If you look at the composition of our lawmakers, you realize 60% of the lawmakers that we have on Capitol Hill are people who have committed some of the worst heinous crimes in our country's history. But yet still, we see that as being normal for us. And so when these things are happening, we think that it's just normal. because this is the kind of way of life we are used to. But we can always live like this. You imagine somebody who committed the worst atrocities, killing people, creating mayhem, and that person was elected by our own people. And now, under their same very eyes, they're seeing those same individuals violating the very standing laws that we ought to protect. People think it's normal. But for us as an organization that live in a developed country and have read the laws and love our country, we cannot sit by and allow these things to happen. We have an obligation, as per our constitution, to be able to protect the interests of Liberians across this country. Because like we said, what is unfolding in Liberia is not only affecting Liberians in that country, it is affecting Liberians in the diaspora. Our mental state of mind, we are traumatized at this point. Just looking at the flames coming out from that Capitol building, there are a lot of thousands, if not hundreds of Liberians across this country who are currently traumatized, because what it does, it brings back some bad memory. People saw buildings being burned during the crisis. And today, just a few days ago, the witness is the identical same thing. This is what we are trying to prevent. And the way to prevent it is to stay on the side of the law, is to tell people that those who are responsible should be held accountable. And the way to hold them accountable is for our partners to launch an investigation. And not only that, we want our partners also to take cognizance of some of the major support that is given to Liberia. We made a decision as an organization as well to caution our partners, and that is the United States government, EU, and ECOWAS. You need to be cautious as to how they provide support to Liberia during these moments, because it will be illogical for the United States government, for instance, to take taxpayers' dollars and give it to a country that does not subscribe to the rule of law. That would be counterproductive. Because all of us on this platform, we are all taxpayers. It would be illegal for our government to take taxpayer dollars and fund government, especially our government in Liberia, that is clearly have not subscribing to the definition and the tenets of the rule of law.
Mr. Tanamwe, let me just bring you in here. Can you unmute yourself? Is it from my end, or let me see?
No, I wanted to give you a chance the way you're grilling my people, so I just said, let me get out this, give them in the space.
Yeah, this is general consensus on the Politburo of ULLA. That's my own word. I'm not saying that they're Politburo here. Look, but this year, what could possibly be the outcome of this? I'm not sure whether they're going to be any turning point to go back to square one, honestly, because this thing in the first place could have been avoided, and everybody allowed the alligator to get from baby. Now it's full grown, it's out of the zoos. You can't have it domesticated again. So what could be the relationship potentially as we move down the road with ULLA and ULLA? If ULLA remains on these positions and let us start going, calling for sanction, and ULLA remains in her position, we recognize Fanatic Kofa as the Speaker of the House of Representatives. That could possibly cut ties with the government of the Republic of Liberia. Are you guys prepared to go that route?
Well, listen, it is good to be here. For full disclosure, I'm in the cabinet of the union as well. Mr. President, it's good to see you tonight. Mr. Foreign Minister, Mr. First Vice. So my position here is not different from the unions. We all speak in unanimity. But I tell you how this thing could end. And, I heard today, it has been reported now that the president is finally getting around to do what he should have done in the first place, just as you indicated. Yes, we always understand the separation, of powers, 3 co-equal branches of government. We get out of that. But then again, we're talking about the presidency of Liberia, the bullet pulpit, and I feel personally that this president could have done a lot in the very initial stages of this saga. And I've said here, considering that his invitation to the speaker removed him from the stage in the inception of this crisis. He invited the speaker. That created the absence that the other team is claiming and the deputy speaker, and that's how this whole thing started. So, in a sense, I think he should have felt a much greater responsibility to help resolve this matter. He didn't do that. How could this end?
So on purpose, do you think this was something politically orchestrated by the Unity Party to say, you know what, we want to be in full control of the. Does anybody out there? That's what they're going to be thinking.
I mean,
do you think it was orchestrated?
Yeah, I don't think it's too difficult to reach that conclusion, considering, for instance, the manner in which the budget was just passed. I mean, the lightning speed at which this budget was passed should tell you this was the objective all along. $880 million budget passed, in a twinkle of an eye. So who knows? Maybe this is one of the reasons that this battle began in the first place. To have total control of all branches of government. But it doesn't all go well for the country because we have to be a country of laws and not of men. It doesn't. I heard my colleague here, Steve, mention, what this portrays to the international community. We have chaos brewing in the Capitol. We have two speakers. We have fire blazing on top of the Capitol building. Now, you tell me, if you were an investor, even if you are not a Liberian, an investor, would you feel encouraged to want to come and invest in Liberia? It will be difficult. It will be difficult. So again, I continue to ask, I don't see how is it this president doesn't see how this hurts him and how it hurts his administration, because investors, that private investment is so badly needed. It's going to be very difficult to come back if this crisis is not resolved. So I'm happy that I heard he's finally reaching out. Let's hope, he's genuinely reaching out, and that they don't make the conditions so stiff as to make it impossible to reach some kind of an arrangement. I think Kofa has indicated the day the Supreme Court ruling came out, the last sentence of that statement, he said something in the tune of, so that we'll consider my transition. I think that should have signaled to the other team that he's ready to exit the stage. What else is the definition of transition? So I think what he's looking for is an honorable exit, which I think is not very difficult to help him do. If I was advising him also, I think he has made his point. I think he has planted his marker. He has now become the symbol of the rule of law. Maybe it's about time he himself, he called a press conference and said, you know what, I have made my point. I believe that, the government should run, operate by the rule of law. The House should elect and remove speakers as prescribed by the rule of law. I don't think it's going to happen. And so, I'm prepared to exit. Maybe he could do that. But other than that, he is not willing to resign. He cannot be removed. We are at an impasse.
Okay, so let me go to the president. Mr. President, other official, is there another option if you cannot get some sort of any change from the executive to ask the speaker to resign as well for the good of the country? Is that something you would?
If I couldn't understand, can you please repeat that?
I don't know why. If somebody listening, they need to kind of
maybe.
Yeah. Okay. I was asking whether it is an option on the part of ULLA to also ask if you can't get it through to also ask the speaker how far to resign.
Well, if we, for instance, everything is in line with peace, sometimes you can swallow the pain and bring peace in your home. There's so many ways you can bring peace. Now, Mr. Speaker, please resign. But however, if the speaker look at it that those who remove him or somehow trying to replace him and it causing too much harm in the country. It's two ways. I didn't say, you know what, I will step aside to make sure that Ali Liberian people live in peace. Because we all have to sacrifice here. But you see, when you look at the historical background of what happened in the past with this speakership, and even down to a member from the Supreme Court, from the same house, maybe they've been doing it too much. I don't know. But this time around, they got somebody who challenge everything. So that should be a lesson. I think the speaker made a point already. But until then, let's wait what the Supreme Court will say. And from the rule of the Supreme Court, like here the second time around. But if the speaker will step aside because of peace, after the Supreme Court ruling, maybe it will help. But the only thing I would say is this House of Representatives do the right thing for our people. The same more ball running after 6 years, you do the same thing. Another 6 years, the same thing come over. And what really prompted ULLA to get in? About $25,000 taken by some lawmaker. I don't know how true it is. If it's actually true, it's shameful.
Have you done any investigation for your end?
I'm sorry?
I'm asking, have you done any investigation for your end and that could be right, or you just hearing what people are saying?
Well, we appeal to the government of Liberia, on the president, the executive branch, to make sure to investigate this $25,000 a bribery that have been taken by lawmakers. And let them make sure we're not just going to sit. Let's say hypothetically, fanatical say, okay, you know what? I'm done with this. For the peace sake, let's move on. We were still right. The government to really come on to find out about the $25,000. Because we've been hearing something with the brown bear, that the money they divide, send around, something like that. We've been hearing like that. The government should go into it. I believe that this administration, before electing Joseph Boakai, that was in meeting, that you make sure he got rid of some of those things. You understand? If those things really existed, the people who did it, let them face the weight of the law. You can't keep people like that there if it is true. It's shameful.
Okay, let's spin around the room. You were going to be this, I think it's an ongoing conversation. Is there any call period time for ULLA to say, you know what, we can't have no any call, we don't want to move forward with anything from all indication the door is already closed? Is there any call time from the end with respect to what is going on? Newspaper is there.
Well,
definitely passing, meetings in place. They take out to do something. I'm not sure what I did. Any other thing there, but do you have a timeline to say, you know what, enough is enough? I think you guys are not working.
Well, historically, ULLA doesn't have a call at the point time. From 1974, some of the things our forefathers were advocating for is the same thing happening today. There's no quarter time until the government of Liberia will look into it. The purpose for which this government was elected, to take power, to take care of some of the corruption, some of the things that happen in our country. It's shameful. If there's no quarter time, like yesterday, day before yesterday, when the place got burned, a friend of mine, the man putting out over $5 million project in Liberia. He completed one. He understood one. Guess what the guy is right now? He back to his home right here in Florida. He closed everything down. He told me, Keita, what am I staying for? Maybe 98 coming. He's scared. This is embarrassing. And it is not only here alone. A lot of people. Sometimes people use certain words oh, it ain't anything, let's spoil it, we'll fix it. You cannot spoil anything historically, you will fix it. Because no matter how you fix it, it will bang. Let the people come to their senses and stop doing all those things. Liberia in the diaspora, they work hard. Liberia in the country, they work hard to bring peace. But start eating Liberian money if it is true. It should stop. The corruption should stop. Because I always say that people always say, Keita, stop. My hand is up. I'm in the seat of my forefather. For those who take in Liberian money, taxpayer money, I swear that they will never be better with you. For every dollar you take, you will never benefit. It will never benefit you. Your children will never benefit it. Because we know some of the past leaders that took the Liberian money. Look at how they're looking today. Their children got nothing. Their houses burned down, nothing, zero. It didn't benefit them. So the little money taken from taxpayer money, you will pay for it. God will judge you. Keep on taking it. You think that money you're taking, you're rich? You're not rich. You start Liberian money without the nonsense. Every day, rule of law. Everybody know law in the country. They can't even interpret. Even though they know the rule of law, they still doing it. They still violate it. It's a simple something. House is not in order. You know, and Mr. President, please take step. If nothing happening, take executive order. Run the country. We're tired with this thing here. Most every day, time for election, they go there. Some of them, look at Liberia. People talking, a guy talking to me yesterday. I'm a little bit emotional with this. He and I were talking. He said $45,000, this and that. I said, my man, $45,000 is it $45,000 what? That money? It doesn't mean who can ask me to help him. He said 45,000 is nothing. Liberian government, people say they talk about million. They didn't even talk about $100,000. And I challenge you, you eat Liberian money after your term, for one will slip out in Liberia. You will be nothing but zero until you do the right thing. Keep on eating Liberian money. Keep on eating it. So
I think this is not the point. Let me bring in the foreign minister, Mr. Bernard.
Yes.
It looks like the chief executive of ULLA trying to grab the pen now. Some frustration is in the making. He has all right to do it because sometimes when you see the right thing is not doing, but it looks like we are reaching one goal of this whole thing, the end point of ULLA to say, you know what, these guys have.
I mean, I totally agree with you on that. But again, like we said, we are optimistic that there will be some level of solution to this matter. We will continue the engagement like we are doing right now with the government of Liberia and that of our partners. We, like the president said, will be in the country come next year to launch our multi-purpose complex, a break ground for that. We are anticipating spending over $2 million. And we are looking forward to rallying Liberians across this country to support that project. We have some friends around the world who are willing to support. But those individuals can only support our project and invest in our country, provided if the country is peaceful. Nobody in our right mind will want to invest in a country that is very chaotic as it is right now. That is why we have a responsibility to ensure that we call for calm and ensure that the rule of law is respected, regardless of the circumstances. You don't bargain on the rule of law. The rule of law is the rule of law. And so this is our position, and we are hoping that, the parties will see reason to be able to compromise. Just what has been said by the United States government and the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, have said that as well. There has to be some level of compromise. One person cannot be the one to say, oh, I'm the speaker or this. No. There has to be some level of compromise in this matter. And this is our position as an organization.
Okay. Robin Barkley?
Okay. Did you unmute me already? Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I just want to begin my statement with stating here that ULLA is not requesting Speaker Kofa to resign. It's a coincidence that Speaker Kofa chose to be on the side of the rule of law, and we are on the same side. Every decision he makes will be on his own. But I want to speak to Liberian people that if all hopes are gone away, we are here. We provide hope for them. We try to stand up for them and protect the rule of law, to give them reason to sleep and sleep sound. We want to assure the leadership of the Republic of Liberia, even the president of Liberia, if this would have happened to him, we would have stood our ground in the same manner to defend the rule of law. So what we are doing is not about COFA, it's about protecting our country and the institution that governs our country, the Constitution. So we are not here to protect COFA, but we are here to protect Liberia, and I will stand by the rule of law. So I want to thank you again tonight, and I want to thank our people for tuning in tonight. We will continue the progress as it unfolds. You'll get to know, but we are not going to put a cart before the horse tonight. And we want to thank you for inviting us.
So before we go, I don't like how you guys are answering my question here tonight. That was not the understanding. We needed some bold answers based on the question here. Is this a surprise? Is any of you, by the way, any of you affiliated with any of these thousand millions political parties in Liberia, no offices, no strategic plan, no directions, all we see time for election, this person wake up, I'm this party chairman. And here we are, very few out of those parties that participated, very few people speaking out, not even visible, so they are not. So it also means as to whether we have political institutions, civil society, everybody up there, everybody compromise. So I don't know how can we achieve it. In the sense that advocates stand for these parties, there's no political ideology. They do not stand for anything. And that's why you see them jump from one party to this party. Yesterday they were with CDC, today they were Unity Party. The unknown party that might come, maybe 2029, they will jump there and they will come and give justification knowing what I know. But they didn't ask all of these questions. And we will continue to be in this sort of vicious cycle, party to party. They never fix what goes wrong in their party. They never build up structure, no institutions, nothing. Everything centers around the individual. And that's why we have a country. The CDC, I didn't see, I can see any contingency plan, strategy on the part of CDC that after George, this is it. I didn't see that either in NDPL, Action Party, Unity Party. Boycott is there now. We don't know. We don't see there's anybody that they are going to stand for something for this party and to survive as an institution. So we will continue to be in this kind of thing.
I mean, I don't expect you to be surprised because you've been around for a very long time.
I am not surprised at all. I knew because we saw what was happening. Because and the part of that is our politicians they do not stand. They have nothing that they stand for.
Let me just point this out quickly. Why you learn your thoughts? Let me just point this out quickly. You've been around for a very long time. You understand the political climate we run in our country. In Liberia, people don't vote for or on the basis of political party. They don't vote. They vote squarely for individuals. The individuals are the ones who make up the party. So it's in the reverse. The institution should produce individuals. But in this instant case of our country, the individuals are the ones who produce the institutions. So don't be surprised because this is the kind of political climate that we operate on it, and it shouldn't be that way. But it is what it is. So what we can do as an organization is to ensure that the tenets of democracy, is respected and the rule of law is also followed by all parties, irrespective of who is in power. But in a nutshell, Liberians vote for individuals. They don't vote for political parties. The individuals make up the party. If you take out the individual, that party is dead. And that is the reverse. In America and other countries around the world, the institutions are the ones people strengthen and produce individuals. But in Liberia is the reverse. I just like to point that out.
All right. Well, the time is no longer in our favor, but I will continue to have this sort of conversation. We hope to play host to Representative Jill Melvin Cole. We also reach out to the majority lead majority group calling itself majority bloc. They have not responded. If everything remains constant, nothing, politician. Hopefully, then Sunday we will have a conversation to get their side as to how far they are. Well, Mr. President and the executive of ULA, thank you so much for always share. Please let us know down the road if there's a change in decision, if there's a compromise, if you get that before us, let us know. Or if you have a second thought into your current position, also let us know so that we can have this conversation. And again, like we said, we are always available. We shouldn't wait until there's a crisis before we have the leadership. The presence of the leadership community should be felt at all. And I will talk to the president behind the stage so that we can have maybe if we have something what can happen because we also have to be just how we're holding you guys accountable. We got to hold you people accountable as well because the trouble can sometimes come from here. So they carry you individual, so you know. All right. So before Ketchup, what's your last word before I go to my guest here on stage?
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody spoke very clearly in strong terms. We should not take this crisis in our country for granted. We know the history of our country. Like you just said, most times our problems start from this time around. We see our problems starting to unfold. We see our problems start to lead us to our people elected and put in office to serve them properly. Today, they are disregarding the godly blood of the man. And I think it is only incumbent on us in America, in the diaspora, wherever you are, to say enough is enough. We are not going back to the dark days. We will respect the rule of law. We should, hereby our constitution and the people and serve our people well. Corruption is eating our country up. And sometimes I sit and say, why did we even go to war? Why did we putting people on the pool for rampant corruption? Why our people lost their lives, and we still way back to, nothing that we have achieved as far as what been happening in our political space. We have not achieved anything. We killed people. We overthrew government. We did all we could. Still to the same place, and even worse. So we must now start and have a different approach to see how we can move our nation forward. Thank you guys. Take my hat to you, CEO, and to the president of ULLA, and to the board of ULLA. I take that up. I'm signing off. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Okay, Keto, let's go back in our last year to wrap it up. Who wants to take the lead first?
I will go first. I want to thank again your management for affording our organization the opportunity that we can appear tonight just to provide our own position as an organization. I like to remind Liberians that ULLA is here to stay. ULLA remains the foundation on which Liberians in the diaspora strive. Every day we will continue to work and be that voice for over 250,000 Liberians across this country. While we are talking about Liberia, I just like to also remind our Liberians across this country that we are not also forgetting about them. We remain a voice for them. We are aware that there are hundreds, if not thousands of Liberians in this country who are physically challenged, I should say immigration-wise challenged, with their paperwork issue. The leadership is cognizant of some of the challenges confronting Liberians across this country. People are currently panicking because of the news of the new government coming in on January 20th. We just want to say to those individuals that we are engaged with the government of President Donald Trump. And Liberians can rest assured, like this leadership and this organization has always done in the past, to always fight to protect the interests of Liberians, irrespective of where you live. We want to encourage our citizens to remain calm, stay out of trouble in this country, get a job if you can work. If you can't work, do what you got to do, but make sure that you are living in conformity with the laws of the United States. We will continue to engage our partners through the president's office to ensure that every Liberian is given a fair shot to be able to achieve his or her dream in this country, because America is a land of possibilities. And as long as you are in this country and you subscribe to the rule of law, there is always hope and light at the end of the tunnel. Again, I want to thank you for the opportunity. ULLA remains engaged. We've made our position known, and we're going to stand by the rule of law. And for my office as the chairperson of external relations, we'll continue to engage our partners to ensure that the rule of law is respected in Liberia, and those who bear the greater responsibility for violating our laws are held accountable, regardless of your name, your status, or your tribe, or your creed. Thank you so much for the opportunity again.
Okay, Reverend Barclay, Vice Chair. Let me see. Let me get you here. 1 second. Okay.
Okay. Mr. Zio, I want to thank you for inviting us here tonight. I just want to make a few clarifications. This administration of Keita Nambwe, that is heading the ULLA team, is one of the administrations in ULLA that has the support of both the board of directors and the leadership council. The decision to come here tonight and send ULLA's opinion on the issue in Liberia was well discussed and approved by all branches of the union. But I want to end on this note. We can't just hold the government in Liberia responsible for what is happening. There is a hidden variable that I don't want to leave on the minds of Liberian people tonight. There are some gentlemen and ladies of our caliber that are working with this government who were involved in the 70s and the 80s in revolutionary struggles and progressive struggles, that were defending the rights of Liberian people, that were screaming in the streets at university corners, shouting. We want to hear them. We want to hear them speaking to the facts that we are saying today. We are surprised that they are silent. But in due course, we'll research their names and we'll point them out so that they can come forward and speak out on the ills of our society. Because when we speak together, the evil in our society will be discouraged. But when we keep quiet, we are facilitating the suppression of our people. So I want to assure Liberian people once more that we are here for you. We'll do what we can do. There is no limit on what we can do. We'll do it as long as there is a cause to defend you. We'll stand for you. Thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Nambwe, before the president was saying,
Thank you, CEO. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Thank you very much, First Vice. Thank you, as well as Foreign Minister. Thank you. Listen, it is very clear, and I'm joining the First Vice to call on all Liberians. You know, there are no sides here. You know, it's not a Kofa or Kun side. There is the side of the rule of law. I think Liberians should really, really wake up to this and see it for what it is. This is about respecting the rule of law. It is easy to do the wrong thing, very difficult to do the right thing. And I think we should insist that our people play by the rules. What is happening? And I understand, you know, there have been excesses on both sides. I get it. But I think the government, as an entity, especially the executive, I think the way they're handling this is what is complicating it. They have made themselves, you know, impartial observers and even participants by some of the conduct that they have exhibited. You know, the president going ahead, you know, handing the budget to this group, you know, recognizing this person, you know, when they clearly know what the rule of law, what the law prescribes. So I'm really calling on all of us here, you know, to make our voices heard, you know, be a part of the process. Those of us here in the diaspora, you know, join the union, join us, you know, and let us challenge our government to do the right thing. No matter who emerges out of this, whether Kun emerges, whether Kofa emerges, that's not what is at issue. That's not our issue. Our issue is to have it done the right way, so that we can instill trust in our government and bring investors into the country. That's what we're saying. So thank you very much for the show. I thought Sisi was going to join us here tonight because he's been writing some real stuff here. I don't know why he didn't come on the show. What happened? But anyway, I'm sure we'll meet on the show again so that some of the issues he has, you know, we can address them. But thank you very much for the show.
All right, he was saying, yeah, what the hotel name say again? ROG, it's something. Okay, Mr. President, look, this is almost like the annual address on this network. So let's get the last word. Maybe there's a final message that is through the executive talk and you want to drop final message.
Thank you so much, Mr. Zia, and your co-host. We do appreciate you inviting us on your show tonight. The only thing I want to tell the Liberian people that we will continue to stand by you no matter what, no matter the circumstances. We demonstrated before, we'll talk on your behalf, and you will continue to do it. We'll never relent. The rule of law of Liberia must remain no matter what. I know many times people say, rule of law, now it becomes the whole thing is all one night. Even my baby sister, I don't know what they call rule of law. The only thing we're saying here is we beg the government of Liberia, under the leadership of Joseph Boakai, please, Mr. President, make sure that our country is in safe hands, remain in safe hands. Some of us today, we still had a nightmare. Some of you like me, you asked me to build a house, Ralph, I don't want to go there. The only place I want to build a house, Ralph, right to Broadway or Cape my area that went towards Sierra Leone, because that was my exit point to run away from the crisis in Liberia. I feel it's the only way out. Go to Ralph, I will end up going to see. So those things still lingering in our head. We don't want to see 1989. We don't want to see 90 or 80. Please, Liberians suffered enough. It's about time we move on. The personal thing here, let's stop. The question I asked my colleague at you and the other those that came in here to represent Liberian government, I asked a question: how patriotic you are? Nobody answering that question. One question I asked Representative King: how patriotic you are? So many things behind that patriotism. Will you leave your salary? Will you leave 18,000 or 100,000? Whatever you make it in a house, will you leave and just a small money for Liberian people? That's the question I asked. Nobody could answer that. The whole thing, everybody behind money. And money is not all to it. Suppose someone level the mansion that will build it. The one will level that will came in build it. The other day will talk again, say, if it will boil, let it boil. One more point, everything went down. Please, this country has suffered enough. We can't continue to do this. And I just want to let Liberian people know we will be in Liberia. ULLA will be in Liberia April 25th, 26th, 27th. We'll be there to have the multi-complex build that in Liberia. For you, it's for you, no one else. And that center is for educational purpose, women empowerment, children after school program, and to feed the people that have a banking institution. Please don't discourage us. The only thing we say, please make sure abide by the rule of law. It's simple. So thank you, Mr. Zian. We appreciate you. And thank my colleague here tonight. Thank you very much. That God bless our nation. God bless America. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, well, folks, in Radio Land, by way of cyberspace, we want to thank you so much. And Mr. President, to your team, we want to thank you for keeping commitment with the time. And let us know at that time, we will definitely make way to have this conversation. It is very vital, it is very much important. And this for us here at LPR, there's no way in such a critical national conversation to leave the work of, to leave out the voice of ULLA. Whether we agree or not, everyone should be given the opportunity to speak as a people and as a group. Guys, thank you so much. Have a pleasant weekend. Happy Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, what a great conversation here, folks. I am Alfonso Zianso of the Liberia Public Radio 10 LRT-TV. We want to thank you so much for sharing your evening with us, your comments, your tweets, Your interactions right on the line is great, so we encourage that. You have the right to even disagree with us. We, as a talking here, people are talking. All we just all share is civility. We must have that temperament to have a sort of national engagement. That's what happens in a civilized society. They don't just burn, they don't just throw chair, they don't just smash. They sit down around the table, conference table, and become more or less persuasive. But what we see unfolding is just unprecedented. I, and I mean, it's just very difficult to comprehend. We are saying that we're seeing things happening here. We saw the removal or impeachment of Speaker McCarthy. Both sides. He was right in Chimont. He recused himself. The clerk, we saw the real-time vote. But this sort of iron hand way of doing things, but some of these things is our fault, and that's what I say. Election have consequences. Hopefully, politicians, actors, the media industry. That's the danger when media becomes a resistant force. Instead of standing as a conduit between government and its citizens and provide where the citizen will be able to make an informed decision. But when the media group, empire media institutions, media talking here, when it becomes definitive in their actions as to where they are vote, or they persuade the process and allowed the citizens to move in their wasteland, that's what happens. Because we never had a chance. All of these people were just going to focus on the presidency, the representative, senator. These are our power of answering that we elect for 9 years. There is a need that a conversation start now to take a second thought. It's really worth it for us to have one group of persons to occupy that position for 6 years, for 9 years. Because they're never going to resign. No matter whatever corruption case, they go to court, that case with that premature death. They will never resign. African politicians, not just only to mention Liberian politicians, they are very defiant. We see here bad things happen here, but for God's sake, sometimes they come out in public and they say, I'm sorry. You ever saw an African politician to tell you, say, I'm sorry? They will say by right. They will tell us, they will begin to remind or to give us a flashback that things that happened 10 years ago, they were not spoken about. So you have no right. We have no right to talk about it. It is all of these excuses that will continue to pile up and give justifications of their action. And we, the citizen, you, their supporter, you cheer them out. You consider them as your hero, as your Goliaths. And so they are untouchable. So the question becomes, where is the patriotism for our country? So they break the laws, even though they tend to be the laws, they promulgate these laws, and they give a different interpretation when it comes to them. When will we have a society where there will be a transparent process? Those who tend to be the victims of bad governance yesterday, they have turned the wheel around. The victim has become the victors, and the victors have become the victim. So where are we as a people, as a nation? And we all talking now, okay, 2019, 20 this and that. And people get short memory. Before 2019, it will be diluted. And will come again. And people will start putting their bagpipes on their bed and start chanting, we carry him, we carry her. And media will become influential into the political process, thus disenfranchising the citizenry to ask these questions that needed to be asked to these people. We give them free pass. And this is why most of them now, who were the soundbiter, who were the talking heads for these people, they are asking and finding it very difficult to interpret, scratching their head now, how we got to this point. You don't know how you got here? Of course you do. You did not give the citizen the chance. You were the fixer. You were the deal maker. You gave them the guarantee. You helped to raise the alligator. Now the alligator is full grown, it's out of the zoo. So it's on the attack now. And then you're asking us how we got here. You got us to this point. You tell us why you led us this way. Until the media, all of us as a people, as a nation, we do have shared responsibility in making sure that we have a better society. That's the difference with us and these people here. The patriotism, everything is not bread, butter, peanut butter, and jelly. But when they see it is not right, they will speak it out. You saw how millions of our politicians are willing to make a political sacrifice. We saw what happened here to Liz Cheney. We saw what happened here to Representative Adam Kikisi from Illinois. Those are people that are strong conservatives, but they stood for practice. They have a value. And they even stood against what they strongly believe, their convictions against their party. CDC, vote CDC way. Unity Party, vote Unity Party way. That's it. How many times have you seen these lawmakers from different parties one day they having sit down to put a piece of legislation in power, in place, give it to your political opponent? Hey, I need some sort of sponsorship, review, peruse this legislation here. I want us to work for the good of the country. How many of them? They don't. They are about how many dollars they are paying them now that the president called for the extra section. And you have nice sort of people are talking about going on strike. It's all about that. This building needs to be bleached until we, the citizens, bleach in the sense that we must be able to ask these people questions so that we know what they are going. We need to ask them. If you don't ask them, once they're there, you can't ask them again, because you needed to ask these people as to what is their political mindset, how they're going to get things done. But again, if you don't buy baby top, you don't pay school fee, you don't get what you want, all of this is poverty. It devalues human dignity, and that's the problem we are in. Until then, thank you so much. Have a pleasant evening. If Liberia is to survive, it is us. You take Bill Clinton, you take Barack Obama, you take Donald Trump, you take Joe Biden, you care them to make them president. If our mindset as a people, as a nation, is unwilling to change, zero. They're going to be the same way. Thank you so much and have a pleasant evening. By God's willing, if the appointment stays in place, we'll be playing host to Representative Josiah Melvin Cole of Bond County, right here on the LPR. We'll keep you posted. But you know, they're politicians. Anytime they can change, they can somersault 360 degrees. So we'll see the end will come. And because we tell them, we bring you here, we ask you questions. We give you the opportunity to explain yourself. We don't prepare oatmeal here and give it to adults. Only little babies. You come here, we talk a real-time issue. Have a pleasant night. And by God's willing, we'll be back here, same time, same station, with more program here. I am your host, Alfonso Zienso. Have a pleasant, Merry Christmas. It is a crazy wet day here in the East Coast. By the grace of God, we are hanging in there. Have a pleasant evening. Bye-bye.